On this episode of Locked On Angels, the Halos got what they wanted last night at the end of last night's game. One down and a runner on and Mike Trout at the plate. And these are the moments where your stars need to come through. So what would Mike Trout do? We're going to talk about it. It's time to get locked on with Mike and John, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SiriusXM by searching Locked On Angels. And if you'd like to give back to the Super Halo Bros for all the Super Halo content, here's some things that you can do. Leave us a rate and a review on Apple Podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe and become a Locked On Everydayer. We just passed 9,000 subscribers. When John and I first started this show, there was only 800. So thank you to those that have joined us here on Locked On Angels. It's one of the best ways to get in touch with us. When you go to YouTube, you leave a comment, we're going to comment back, and we would love to talk to you about our Halos.
Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You've got the Frisch Brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
It's our fourth season as a host of Locked On Angels, talking Angels baseball Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, every single weekday. On today's show, how do the Halos plan to use Reed Detmers and Ian Anderson? We got a little bit of a look at that in last night's game. We're also sharing a post from Hans Crouse. He let the Angels have it, and I think that it's going to lead to a good conversation. We'll tell you all about that. First, Mike, the Angels fell to the Rays in last night's game, setting them up for a rubber match in today's game. It's an early one, so hopefully you're catching this before that game. Let's get into the details from Game 2 on Wednesday night.
Yeah, here's the starting lineup. Taylor Ward led off again. Nolan Shonowell was batting second. Mike Trout hitting third. Jorge Soler, Logan O'Hoppe, Moncada was back at third base, but he did leave this game. We'll talk about that. Kyron Paris in center field. No Joe Adell. Tim Anderson was at second base, and Kevin Newman started at short. And Yusei Kikuchi was on the mound in this game, Johnny. And here's the thing about Yusei that we know we were going to get when we signed him. He's going to give up a lot of home runs.
Right.
He is somebody that can limit the damage, and he's proven that in his time with the Angels in spring and his first couple of starts. Now, before we get to Kikuchi, we got to talk about the Angels offense, because they had opportunities in this game, and they didn't come through in those opportunities, and it ended up hurting them. So, John, take us to the top of the first when the Halos loaded the bases.
Yeah, they had runners all over the place. Shonowell singled, Trout walked, and Soler walked. And so you had one out with three guys on. O'Hoppe struck out, and Yoan Moncada struck out. And that was huge because of what happened in the bottom of the first, Mike. Kikuchi gave up two singles and then a walk. Then Caballero hits a grand slam. So immediately the Angels are digging themselves out of the dirt 4-0 as the Rays take the lead. They struggled with runners on the night before, but this time Caballero came through here. He did it with two outs. I will say he hit it to the short porch because the dimensions here are like Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
And so anywhere else, that's a fly out. But look, like that's the stadium that you're playing in, right?
Exactly.
Not a little league park. But, you know, we had some Halos hit some big boy home runs, not little league home runs. However, that really set them up to have to fight their way back. And to be fair, the Angels did fight their way back into this one. It's all you can ask for is for them to be competitive, and they scratched and clawed. They just fell short by the end of the night.
Yeah. So Kikuchi's first inning, 3 hits, 4 runs, 1 walk, no Ks. But innings 2 through 5, 2 hits, 2 walks, no runs, 4 Ks. And so there's what he brings to your starting rotation. He might have one bad inning, but he also can recover and typically limits the damage. And then that 6th inning, John, he gave up a hit and a walk, and he struck out a guy, but was saved by Tim Anderson, who made a diving stop at second base. The diving stop was beautiful, threw the runner out at first base.
Yeah, you want to know what a defensive run saved looks like when we talk about that on the show? It's Tim Anderson doing that because he stopped that runner from scoring from second by getting a very difficult play made at first base to end the inning. Kikuchi finishes with 6 innings, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 3 walks, 5 Ks, 104 pitches. I was happy to see him not only recover from that first inning, but go 6. And even though he was getting up near the century mark, they let him finish that inning. I was worried he was going to get pulled after the second batter, but it was great to see him finish those 6 innings. Mike, it's unfortunate. I feel like that's a bad luck fly out that is a home run in this park. Can I just say, I miss the Trop. I miss Tropicana Field. And the reason why is not because of all this nonsense with, this George Steinbrenner Field and whatnot, with, the wind blowing, knocking things down, and you can't see anything because the lights aren't that tall because it's not an official ballpark. I missed the Trop because there was so much outfield space, and it feels like the Angels, especially like Mike Trout, they tear it up.
Yeah.
The Trop. They're hitting stuff in the gaps. That's where Shohei got his cycle, was at Tropicana Field. And there's a reason for that. It's almost like the old Oakland Coliseum. It's just humongous in terms of that outfield. It plays big. And I really miss that because, everything feels so like compact and tight. And I don't know what's going on with those dimensions, but it is what it is. Again, I feel bad for Kikuchi. Mike, what does he need to do to not have a first inning like that?
Yeah, I think for him, it really wasn't about anything that he did wrong. It was everything about that stadium, John, because that would have been a pop out at every other stadium in Major League Baseball outside of Yankee Stadium. Right. So that if they were at the Trop, it would have been a high fly ball to right field and Trout would have got it. And so I don't know if you can really get upset with him. And you could see that he was upset with the fact that that ball just traveled out. But that jet stream to right field was something that everybody took advantage of last night, including Kyron Paris, Johnny. He was top of the second, hit his 4th home run at the time, 3 straight games with a homer. I love this, and I thought you would love this stat. Entering last night's game, here were the FanGraph WAR leaders. Kyle Tucker, 1.3, Aaron Judge at 1, Corbin Carroll at 1, Abreu from the Red Sox at 1, Green from the Reds at 0.9, Paul Skeens, 0.9, and then Tyler Soderstrom, 0.9, and then Kyron Paris, 0.8. So he is in the top 10 of all WAR, FanGraphs WAR, so far this season, and has really earned that, John. He's been an incredible player for the Angels when they've let him play, and he's now making a very good case he should not be out of this lineup.
Can I also just say how cool it is to see 2 starting pitchers on that list, Hunter Green and Paul Skeens, with 0.9 FanGraphs WAR already. Hunter Green had that 8 2/3 a couple nights ago, almost went the distance. That was the first time he pitched in the 9th inning, by the way. So fun fact there. So with 2 outs, the Halos loaded the bases again for the second straight inning. They did it with a walk to Taylor Ward, 2 infield hits by Shawnuel and Trout, but then Soler popped out to end the inning. 2 straight innings of the bases loaded. They bail out the Rays pitcher, Ryan Pepio, 4 hits, 3 walks in the first 2 innings, but only 1 run, and it came via the solo home run, Mike. In fact, all the Angels' runs came via the home run, and that's a problem for me because when those bases are loaded, you have to adjust your game and you have to make contact, especially in the first inning when, there's 1 out, bases loaded. You can't strike out Logan, and you can't strike out Moncada. You have to make contact in those moments. And so they just let the moment be too big for them in that situation.
And that was what they weren't doing so far this season.
Right.
The first 10 games, they weren't doing that. And so making contact, having sacrifice flies, having intentional outs to move runners over, they didn't do that last night, and they had an opportunity to do that, and they failed at it last night.
I had a feeling going into this one too, because this was, I don't want to say the B team, but there was a lot of backup players in this one, especially after Moncada came out. Nicky Lopez took his place. Then Rengifo took his place later on, trying to give Joe Adell and Luis Rengifo days off their feet. But Mike, you have Nolan Shawnuel back at the second spot, not where he belongs. That's a Rengifo spot. You got to figure out somebody, put Kyron Paris there, right? Like let him do his thing there. If there's not going to be anybody on base for him when he's hitting home runs, then put him second, and maybe Taylor Ward can get on base in front of him. Taylor Ward did hit his first home run of the season in the top of the 4th. Then in the top of the 5th, Jorge Soler hits a bomb. All 3 Halo homers were to right field, but they were big boy homers, Michael. They weren't over the little tiny wall that you just got to hop over. You just bounce right over. In fact, Trout hit a long fly ball out to deep center field in the 5th. It was the longest hit ball of the game, but it was to the deepest part of the ballpark. Got to adjust the game plan. I know that these guys can take baseballs for a ride. They can hit them hard, but we got to get them to land, and that's really important.
Yeah, bottom 7, Yandy Diaz hits a home run off of Reed Detmers, and the ball was off the end of the bat.
Yeah.
It was a changeup,
and where'd it
go?
Went
to right field.
Here we go. I'm gonna hop over. Ooh, it's Easter time. Here comes the bunny over the little wall.
That's exactly what that wall is, and it's that jet stream, right? So it made it 5-3 Rays. John, the hit probability on that ball was 2%. 2%. You can kiss 2%.
Yeah. Seinfeld.
Yes, yeah. It was only 327 feet. And so that you could see that Reed Detmers was even frustrated.
Yeah.
So honestly, John, I look at the home run that Kikuchi gave up in the first, and I look at this home run that Reed gave up, and I go, dude, sorry, man.
I can't be mad.
Right.
I can't be mad at them. They're doing their job. They're getting flyouts, Mike.
Exactly.
Anywhere else is a flyout except for janky stadiums. So there you go.
Yeah. Top 8, Kyron Paris hits his second homer of the game. He hit it to right field, but it was a big boy home run, or at least I'm an Angel fan, so I'm going to say it was a big boy home run.
It was.
He made it a 1-run game. It was 5-4 Rays. Then, John, top 9, Angels got what they wanted. They had a runner on, Nolan Shonowell, drew a walk. Great job. If you're going to be in that 2 spot, you need to take some pitches. And then Mike Trout at the plate. And these are the moments that Mike Trout has to come through, right? We've talked often about this on this show. We got a lot of heat when we talked about Shohei Ohtani in these moments, right? Because Shohei might have been the guy that got them the 4 runs that they scored.
He was Kyron Paris, right?
Exactly. And what you needed from your star in that moment was to come through again. And yes, was it a lot on Shohei? Absolutely. But here's a moment where Mike Trout is at the plate. This is what you want. This is the scenario that you ask for.
Right.
And John, you said it before we started the show, and so I'm going to repeat it on the show. He's got to get on base.
Yeah.
Not even just hit a home run or what. He's got to get on base.
Yeah.
He can't pop out. He can't fly out. He has to at least hit the ball on the ground to give himself an opportunity to get an infield single, right?
And I will say it was a good swing decision, but he was under it. And that's the issue with popping it up. It was a high pop up, and that ended the game for the Halos. So like you said, these are the moments that we need Trout to come through. When I think of that stupid Edwin McCain song, these are the moments. You remember what I'm talking about?
I do. Yeah.
I
hate that song.
Did I just tank the segment? Everybody just turned off Locked On Angels right now. So look, they lost 5-4, the first 1-run loss game of the season. They're 7-4 on the season. They have a chance to win the series today. Mike, that's all I can ask for.
Yeah.
If this is 2 out of 3 and this is the one that they lose, then get everybody who had the day off last night back in the lineup today. Like, let's get it going. Let's get cooking. No Kevin Newman, no Nicky Lopez. Mike, you mentioned yesterday how these things have a tendency to work themselves out. Well, Yoan Moncada left the game with, again, that right thumb soreness. So he'll be the guy that goes on the IL while Zach Neto returns to this Angel team. And then once Moncada's back, we'll probably see the end of, I'm assuming, Nicky Lopez, who played good defense, by the way.
He
did what he was supposed to do. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's why he's here. And that was what you want him to do. John, when it comes to this game, I'm not frustrated because they were in this game and it was dinky-do home runs, right? To steal your words.
They came back, right?
And they did come back. And so if they win today, that actually is a great thing because they won the series. Now, if they don't win today, then I'm going to be a bit more frustrated. And there may be comments right now in our comment section that speak about their frustration. But what I would say to you, if you're frustrated as an everydayer, is hold on. Let's see what happens today, right? One day at a time. Let's go 1-0 today. And if they do, they find themselves winning another series. Yeah. And that's a good thing for this team. And it's Jose Soriano. So we have a one-up here to be able to get a victory today. And if Soriano's on his game, we're going to see a lot of ground balls, which is great in this stadium. So pump the brakes. Don't get too frustrated. Let's see what happens this morning.
This game starts at 10:10 Pacific time. That means it's 1:10 Eastern time. So it's a day game. And so I have a feeling that the ball is going to be flying around the yard in this one. Also, I want to give a shout out to Locked On Everyday or Lisa Turk because she reposted something on Twitter about Ben Joyce explaining where he went wrong last night. And Ben Joyce said, I just didn't have good location. My arm feels fine. I feel fine. And she said, hey, that sounds like what I heard John say on Locked On Angels. John from the Super Halo Bros said that on Locked On Angels. That's why you're an everydayer, my friends. That's why you come to Mike and John for all your Angels insight. Never mind all this narrative out there that other people are saying about the Halos. And again, it was six fastballs. That's a small sample size. We talk about small sample size all the time. So Ben Joyce just said, hey, you know what? My location sucked, and that's why I got rocked 2 nights ago. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day, just like every day, or Lisa Turk. Thank you, Lisa. When we come back, we have a conversation about Hans Crouse, and he kind of put the Angels on blast. And I have to say, Mike, I don't really blame him. And we're going to talk about what that means here in just a minute.
John, after I work out, I actually love the Just Ingredients.
After I work out, I'm a workout guy now. No,
protein shake. Yeah. I know it's probably super annoying. I don't care. But Just Ingredients has this great protein shake. And I know that when you think about like healthy protein shakes, or you think about any sort of health, anything, you're like, is it really good? Is it chalky? Does it get like stuck to the roof of your mouth? You know what I mean? Like you have that little film that gets up there, like after you eat like Captain Crunch or whatever. Like that's the thing that I hate when it comes to protein drinks and all of those things. Sorry,
that's what I eat after the gym is Captain Crunch. Yeah, exactly.
But I changed my ways, John. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm actually using Just Ingredients, and their protein shake has been great for me personally after the gym, because super sore, working out hard, right? And it's helping me to recover a whole lot faster. And what I love about Just Ingredients is that their ingredients are wholesome and they're nourishing, and they don't have any of the artificial junk. And that's probably why it tastes really good. And I mentioned on the show before, I'm also using their pre-workout, which has been really beneficial for my body. I'm waking up early, and when I go to the gym, I'm finding myself a bit lightheaded, and I don't like that. So the pre-workout gives me everything I need to be able to get through that workout. So whether you're recovering from a workout or you need an energy boost, Just Ingredients grass-fed whey protein and their pre-workout are going to deliver results for you. Visit justingredients.us/Bryce Harper and use our promo code LOCKEDONMLB for 20% off your order. And for more wellness tips, follow @just.ingredients on Instagram.
This is the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. We're continuing our conversation about our Halos regarding Reed Detmers and Ian Anderson. Mike, both of them are learning a new role this season, and that is how to pitch out of the bullpen. Now, we know Reed Detmers has shown flashes of greatness. The way he started 2024 was awesome. And shortly after that, he fell off. Of course, he has the no-hitter in his back pocket. Ian Anderson is somebody who's been highly touted, helped the Braves win a World Series, but he's dealt with injury issues. So both pitchers have been starters for their entire career. So this is something new. Ian Anderson called it a learning experience. And when he was asked about how he's going to adjust to all the new aspects of his job, Detmers said there's a lot that he just doesn't know. Right, Mike?
Yeah, and Reed said specifically, it's going to take some time to get used to, but I'm kind of having fun with it right now, which I love, because that attitude shift is something I think that really is necessary for him.
He wasn't having fun last year being a starter. That's for sure.
Right. And Ian Anderson said, I'm happy just being back in the big league. So having a shot at contributing and helping a team is what he's been looking for. So entering last night's game, Detmers hasn't pitched in back-to-back games yet. And Ian Anderson, he has April 1st and 2nd against the Cards. His first outing was great, 1 inning, 2 Ks. But his second outing was awful. 1 inning, 6 hits, 5 runs, 4 earned with a walk, an intentional walk, and a K. So Detmers has been a bit more successful than Anderson since moving to the bullpen. Entering last night, Detmers had appeared in 3 games. His longest appearance was against the Cards. He pitched that inning in 2/3, gave up a hit, walked 2, struck out 3, but threw 40 pitches that day.
That's a typical Detmers start right there. 1 2/3 innings, 40 pitches.
Yeah.
But hey, it's perfect for the bullpen. Can't blame him for that.
Right. Barry Enright, Angels pitching coach, said there's an art to managing the workloads for pitchers like Anderson and Detmers, who are relievers and starters in waiting. Wash said if they get to a point where these two guys aren't getting enough work, they're going to set up a simulated game so that they can stay warm, they can stay hot. Wash also added that he would like to have Anderson and Detmers pitch 2 to 3 innings at a time if the games cooperate, because that saves the bullpen. It keeps the pitcher stretched out for a potential start. I love that because we saw a bit of that last night with Reed Detmers coming in. And John, that one little dinky-doo home run off the end of the bat, like, again, you can't do much about that because that's the way the stadium is set up. But I thought Reed came in and did a great job last night.
He did what he was supposed to do. And in that first inning that he threw, I think it was just 11 pitches, even with that solo shot. So good thing to see Reed Detmers having some success out of the bullpen. And to be honest, Mike, I know that the conversation about Kohanowitz and Detmers and the rotation was what we talked about almost all offseason.
Right.
But I really think that Detmers saying what he said, it's fun. I'm learning on the job. I'm figuring things out. That you know what? If it takes a year of that before he comes back to the rotation in some form or fashion, I think that's really great because we've always said when it comes to guys like Patrick Sandoval and Reed Detmers, they get frustrated out there, they get worried out there, they get anxious out there. And so for Detmers to come in, an inning, 2 innings at a time, use that pitch mix that he has, because we all know that was a point of, in his favor, a tick in his favor in terms of making the rotation, but use that pitch mix out of the bullpen and you could have a lot of success. And so I think the big question here is, Mike, what's the best approach to using Ian Anderson and Reed Detmers out of the pen?
I do like what Wash said. I want to use them for 2, maybe 3 innings to keep them stretched out. I thought last night, even though it was a loss, I thought the good from that loss was that they had Kikuchi pitch and then they had Reed pitch. And then everybody else is ready for today's game, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's healthy. I even had a moment where I wasn't too frustrated with a loss because it meant that Kenley Jansen wasn't going to come back in after a high-intensity game the night before, right?
True.
Obviously, I'm going to take a win every single time. However, I think what they did with Detmers last night is what you want. I think, John, that they could use Ian Anderson as more of a long guy and maybe use Reed as more as a potential moment guy because of his pitch mix, because he has a lot of swing and miss. I think he could be somebody that could come in a high leverage situation and get the Angels out of it. And then you don't bring him back in. You bring in somebody else, maybe a Ben Joyce to follow him or a Zephyr John to follow him. I think that could be what they could do with him. I don't think it's bad or wrong if they use him for a lot of innings, but he does, I think, have the potential to be somebody that can come in a key moment and get a strikeout because, again, he's got a lot of swing and miss in his repertoire.
You and I and everydayers have been frustrated, especially that first week, with some of Ron Washington's decision-making, especially in terms of lineup construction. And there was some issues with bullpen use and how he used Ryan Johnson in that first game. And of course, everything has a spotlight on it because it was opening day and we want to win the first game of the season. And so I think now sitting on the other side of it going, hey, you know what? We're 7-4, hopefully 8-4 at the end of today. And we have another winning series. Here's what I am saying all of that for. Mike, there have been moments this season, and I want to say it was the Cardinals series, or perhaps it was even the Guardians series, right? Where Ron Washington made some pitching decisions so that guys were ready to go in game 3. So you have the rubber match with the Guardians, right? You had Jose Ramirez hit 3 home runs that Friday night. And so you kind of let things play out the way that they did. I think even Ian Anderson was in that one and was able to, finish the game. What I'm trying to get at is I feel like Barry Enright and Ron Washington have been setting themselves up for success and their pitchers up for success because of exactly what they did last night. They let Yusei finish that game. They let him go 104 pitches, get through the 6. Then you just need Reed Detmers to hopefully keep you in the game. He didn't, but I don't blame him because, again, little league home runs and short home runs. At the same time, Reed finished the game. And as you mentioned, Kenley's ready to go. Ben Joyce will be ready to go. Like, you have the chance to bring your best version of your bullpen. Zephyr John's probably ready to go.
Yeah,
Brock
Ryan
Burke,
Johnson, right?
Ryan
He's still in there.
So they have been handling the bullpen, I think, pretty well. And I think that that's a testament to both Barry Enright and Ron Washington saying, hey, you know what? If we get lucky and we keep it tied and we have the chance to come back, then that's great. If not, then we'll get it tomorrow. We'll have the best version of our team in the game today. So that's something that I think might go a little uncredited. Again, we've been plenty critical of Ron Washington. So on the other side of that coin, I think that that's something the Angels have done very well.
It's almost time for the NBA playoffs, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on all of the action. Right now, if you're new to FanDuel, you can join and place your first $5 bet, and if you win, you get $250 in bonus bets. FanDuel's making it really easy, whether it's picking your favorite team to win or you're diving into the player props, from three-pointers to steals to assists. FanDuel has so many ways to bet on your favorite player. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com. You can claim your $250 in bonus bets today.
Mike, unfortunately, last week we saw Hans Crouse seem to have an injury while he was pitching in AAA for the Salt Lake Bees. He came out of the game. We didn't know what was going on. Then suddenly we get this news that he was released, not put on the IL, but just outright released. So what happened? And we were very confused about this because we thought, well, coming into the season, we thought he would be in this bullpen in the majors. And then they put him in AAA and it was like, all right, yeah, maybe he'll come up in reserve. You can move some guys around. But then he got hurt, which is unfortunate because we all have enjoyed Hans Crouse. Did you call him the Brendan Donnelly of the relief corps last year? Yeah.
Yep.
And so then he goes on Twitter this past Monday and provided some clarity. Here's what he had to say. He said, I'm going to go on a tangent here, as I mostly do. My time with the Angels has come to an end. They released me yesterday morning, and then 3 hours later told me I tore my lat. It was a low and calculated move, in my opinion, but I guess that's business. I gave my very all to the organization. I grew up going to Angel games and loved the fact that I was playing for my hometown club. They had the option to protect me and put me on the IL, and they chose not to. What is strange, considering I led all of AAA in strikeout rate last year, then proceeded to have 2.8 strikeout rate in, or 28%, right? In the bigs?
His ERA, 2.8.
A 2.8 ERA. There we go. And I led that entire team in strikeout rate. But like I said, it's business. I want to shout out some first-class people over there, starting with the Salt Lake Bees and everyone involved there. My two pitching coaches, Shane Liu and Andy Hawkins, are the best people I've ever had the pleasure to work with and really cared about the player first. Dom Cheedy, our pitching coordinator, is one of the best in the game, and he loves a good challenge and players who are strong-minded and hungry. It's going to be a long road back from my torn lat, but results speak for themselves. I'm a proven winner and will never give up anywhere I've been, and I have God on my side and a beautiful family. I refuse to accept that I've thrown my last major league pitch. I have tons more to give and provide as a teammate, a player, disciple of Christ in this game. To all my teammates, I love you guys more than you know. I'll cherish our bond forever. See y'all back on the mound in 8 months. Better than ever. Mike, what the heck?
Yeah. It's interesting that they released him and didn't put him on the IL. I'm wondering if it has to do with a change of culture, John. Not that Hans Crouse was an issue or a problem, but I wonder if it's just about, like, we are resetting this team, and it's why you saw moves like Canning gone, Sandoval gone, and I love Mickey Moniak, but it's why he's gone, right? Because they're resetting the culture, they're resetting the team, they're going to run with the guys that they are confident, that they believe in, that they drafted, or guys that are ready to go. I think that it may have been a move where they're tired of relying on these other players that they get from other teams that aren't necessarily theirs, weren't necessarily awesome, but weren't necessarily bad as well. It feels like a reset. The frustrating thing, and I agree with Hans, is that I get hurt, I get released, and then I'm told I tore my lat. That seems a bit like of a low blow. And I get it's just business. I understand that, but it feels like the humanity of baseball sometimes gets stripped away. It would have been better to say, bro, you tore your lat. Hey, by the way, we are not actually going to put you on the IL. We're going to release you, and here's why.
Yeah.
Maybe that just doesn't happen in baseball. Maybe I'm just wired differently, but that feels a bit more honorable than the way that the Angels handled this in this situation.
Well, what I want to know is why wouldn't you put him on the IL? Why
Right.
wouldn't you have an arm that has a proven track record, like Crouse said, and just have him on the IL? It's no harm, no foul. I know you have to pay for his recovery. You have to pay for all of that kind of stuff, but you should. He got hurt while pitching for your organization.
Yeah.
So bear some responsibility here. This whole thing makes it really hard to be a fan of the organization, in addition to all of the nonsense that we see from time to time with this stinking team. And it's so frustrating to see that this happened to him because, again, seems like he was a good guy, seemed like he wasn't a culture problem, seemed like he got along with everybody, and he had success in the bigs, Mike. And so the Angels, from a game standpoint, aren't in the business of just letting arms like this go. And I don't understand, from the humanity side of things that you brought up, how you could do it to somebody like this, because again, he got hurt pitching for your team. Now, if there's something we find out where he was, jet skiing or I don't know, like something else happened, but it happened during the game, and that's unfortunate. And so my dog's even upset.
Lemon's even upset.
Lemon's even upset about it. But I say all that because it's just that's another tick in the column for the Angels that make it really hard to root for them sometimes. And you know me, I think they're going to the playoffs. So I'm going to support the boys on the field. But as far as the organization goes, man, sometimes I've just had it with this organization.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Now for your second listen, you can check out Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. You get local analysis on a national scale, and you'll find my brother John on that show as well. And you can find Game Night on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.
All right. You all good back there, buddy? I think let's calm down. Hey, friends, thanks for being here today. Give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On Angels and at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram. Whether you're watching or listening, come on over to today's show on YouTube. Get in the comment section. We'd love to hear from you. It's been a busy week for me, Mike, and for you, so we're going to do our best to get to the comments. We promise, but you guys have been having great conversations. Talk amongst yourselves, right? Like butter. So you guys have been having great conversations there. We'll do our best to get to all of you. Mike, what do we have on deck for tomorrow's show?
Well, we're going to recap this morning's game, and then we're going to have Fan Mail Friday. So we would love to have your questions and your comments and your thoughts. Had some great ones this week that we're going to be talking about, but we also would love any fresh ideas that you want to bring. So comment below or send us a message on social media. Fan Mail Friday and a recap of today's game tomorrow on Locked On Angels.
Yeah, how do you feel about the Hans Crouse situation? We'd love to hear your opinions on that. Are you frustrated like me? Do you feel like it's okay to be, and Lemon, my dog, and my corgi who thinks he's 10 feet tall? Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. Until then, friends, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Thanks for being here with us, everybody, and we'll see you back here on Friday.
See why I don't have animals? They don't interrupt our professional show.
You just hate everything.